All right, guys, I'm here with Danny Herbeck, Canadian guide extraordinaire, good friend of Musky Shop, good friend of mine, to talk about a bait you had a lot to do with here, the Burbot tube from Savage Gear, available at the Musky Shop. You've been crushing big fish on this. We talked about the development of this bait, what your intent was, and what you're doing with it.
So I mean, as you know, the burbot or the tube world has really kind of taken musky fishing by storm.
Absolutely.
It's, the double 10 of 12 years ago, basically.
Yeah.
And I mean, Red October made a good tube, still does, and other companies do. But the
They're
problem
smacking
was
the cracking.
the problem was with it is you had to do a lot of fine tuning and rigging yourself.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just streamline the whole process and make it easier for your average angler to buy something out of the package that was ready to rock and roll, and there wasn't any potential with rigging it wrong or anything like that, where it's going to run true and it's going to catch fish right out of the
You
box.
just throw and go, which is nice,
Exactly.
because one thing, if you notice on the Savage Gears here, they're pre-modded. There's a lot of companies, myself included, and some other people, you do blade mods and aftermarket mods. If a guy's wanting to learn to pick up tubes, it's ready to go. And it's kind of a pro mod, I would say, because a lot of us guiding went from throwing tubes to we need to add a little extra to it. What's the blade doing for you, like a figure-8 situation or just a casting
Well, it's
situation?
just, it's just another little added attraction, vibration. And two, like, tubes are really heavy, and I like the heaviness of them. And as you can see here, this has a detachable weight to go from like a heavy to a medium sink fall.
Yeah.
But the blade, it'll slow the fall down a little bit, and it just, once again, a little pizzazz on the end of it.
Yeah, a little extra, and it seems to really help, I think, when we're boat side and doing a figure-8 of nature, that keep a little motion in that. As far as that, Savage Gear's got some other stuff. We'll talk about the blades here shortly. But with this Burbot tube, it doesn't seem hard to work. I've played with it. You've shown me some tricks with this. Let's cut to that. Let's get on the water here. We're already out here. Why don't you make some casts and kind of walk everybody through how you want to present this in a general fishing scenario.
So you're throwing it out, I mean, and like you said, most of the time, you're casting up on structure and you're going to be working it down off, right? So I don't let it sink or anything, and it's just a pull, pause motion. But the main key is, as you see here, how I'm working the bait, I'm giving it slack before I pick it up.
Right.
So that's allowing that bait to coast down.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people, especially with, high gear ratio reels, if you're going to throw it, that's fine. Everybody rips and reels at the same time.
And not giving it an erratic slack.
And all you're doing is it's just going like this, which you can catch fish that way, but the best way is, a pump and then giving it slack to fall, and then, a 1-2, and then as it comes to the boat, I'm pumping it up and then into my turn, and I'm also pumping it
in the figure-8.
On the figure-8,
Something to note, and I think you did innately there, folks, which we've talked about in other tube presentations with other baits of this style. The amount of line you're leaving out in the figure-8 is crucial.
Yes, you're not reeling it right tight to the leader. I'm leaving, 2 feet extra out past my leader to allow that bait on my rip. Same motion as the cast, that fall. That's the trigger. That fast fall, that's the trigger, which drives muskies crazy, and that's why the tubes are so good.
Just to keep it going. Now, as far as your setup, it looks like you got a Tranks going here. Is that a high gear?
That is a high speed
gear, 9-foot rod, 9.6.
I mean, everybody's a little different. I actually like to throw it on a short jerkbait rod
to get the pop,
to get the real quick snap out of it, and I find it's less fatiguing at the end of the day for me, because I'm not a real big guy, and I'm always working most of the time in a pretty confined area in the back of the boat with people around me. So if I'm swinging a 10-foot rod around, I'm going to take somebody's teeth out usually, right?
And it seems like at times you get a much better hook set. I think with rubber, it's lost on a lot of folks that we don't have to have, depending on stature, you don't have to have a 10-foot rod, a 9.6 rod. You get a little bit more snap in that action. As far as that, your setup, I think you throw next level braid, and you're throwing, right now it looks like you got straight wire on. What's the deal with the straight wire leader?
So what I've found out by, the hard way, I've went to a straight, this is actually a titanium leader, and I eliminated the snap altogether as well. I went to a split ring just because these fish headhunt these baits horribly. Everyone, I would say 95% are hooked on the front hook. And I've had snaps open up and fish pull off and, swim away with the bait. And I've also gotten bitten off as well. So I've just, I I want to catch them, but I don't want to kill them.
Right, exactly. Now, something, you know, that we've both probably experienced, especially with people in the boat, you know, new faces, people are just getting into tubes. The slack line hit on these things.
They always hit on the fall.
They
That's
always
why
hit on
it's
the fall.
so crucial to allow that bait to work, and that's, you'll feel them poke.
And it's do that. And what's your hook set with this? Are you reeling down and bringing
No,
up?
just
Or are you just sideways?
As soon as you feel them, just crack them.
Just crack them.
And
yes.
most of the time, I mean, they're hitting it so aggressively that you don't need to drive anything home by anyway. They got it right in the corner of their mouth most of the time.
Great hookup ratio.
Yep.
Guys, Savage Gear makes amazing baits from Europe all across North America. We got them available at the Musky Shop. Check them out now. Check out Danny Herbeck. He guides on Eagle Lake out of Andy Meyer's Lodge.
Yep.
You can also check him out. He does the Musky 360 Canada podcast, which is a fishing report. Talk about that for just a second.
Yeah, so that's something, you know, you contacted me with, and you wanted to kind of expand the, you know, the listener base and allow a lot of the folks that come up to Canada a little info prior to their
What's
trip,
happening
right?
now? Yeah.
So I teamed up with a guy out of Lake of the Woods, which I felt was, you know, a great asset. Like most of the people coming to Northwestern Ontario, they're going to Lake of the Woods or they're going to Eagle, right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, it's up-to-date info on, you know, what we saw this week, our predictions for next week, what the fish are doing, what they're chasing, and, you know, it's the most up-to-date information you can get.
You can listen to Danny. You can find out what Savage Gear baits you need to buy from the Musky Shop before you come up to Canada. Get in the boat with this guy, Danny. A pleasure being on the boat with
Thank
you.
you.
Check out Danny's baits at Savage Gear at the Musky Shop today.